everybody, it's Bernie here from Stamp and Eat, and welcome back to another Friday card making session with me. I hope you have all had a fabulous week, or however many days it's been since you've last seen me. Today I'm going to be sharing this very fun easel card. Have a look at that. And it lies down flat to form a 5 by 5 inch card, and it's reasonably flat, so it should hopefully be okay in the mail. Certainly in New Zealand we don't have that problem, but it forms this gorgeous easel so that you can open it up and you can write your message inside. I was inspired by this card design several years ago, long before I became a demonstrator. My now upline team leader Jackie designed this easel card but using a Christmas theme, and I will show you at the end of this video what how I changed that a little bit from the original, and I've actually taught that this year in one of my card classes, so hang on with me until the end of this. So you may be wondering, where do you get these gorgeous papers and these are stamped images? Well, the answer to that question is in the Two Tone Floral Bundle, and the sentiment that I chose, nothing fancy, just love, is coming from the Something Fancy stamp set, and these are both coming out in the mini catalog that will launch for the public on the 4th of January. And if you are a demonstrator watching this, you should already be able to have placed your pre-order of that on the 1st of December. So I'm going to highlight the same suite of papers, and I'm going to be using the same stamp sets. However, I am going to be changing the color scheme of this just to give you a little bit of a hint as to what the papers look like. So I'm just going to pop that one to the side. I'm going to place all the measurements as we go, so they'll be on the top of the screen. You will need a piece of, to start off with this card, you're going to need a piece of basic white cardstock, 10 inches by 5, scored at 5 inches. And let me just burnish that now with my bone folder. And then this one, so you've got this bit that is the flap that's going to be the front. You need to score it. I've already done it, but I'm wondering if you can see. You need to score it on the diagonal, and you need to score it into the inside of the card. Okay, like so, because this is what is going to form that part of the card. Okay, so if we set that to the side, then the next thing you're going to need is you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock that measure the same, and that is 4 5/8 of an inch. So 2 pieces. I've already pre-cut mine, and I've chosen to go with soft sea foam on the one and obviously soft sea foam on the other. Duh. And then you need to cut the one at a diagonal, and I thought I'd brought everything I needed, and I've now seen I don't have my paper trimmer. So let me just go across my craft room and bring it over. Okay, so you're going to need to cut. You're going to need to cut one of those squares at the diagonal, and I really find with my Stampin' Up paper trimmer, if I insert the corner of that mitre where that groove is, and then I just move the bottom to go in with the groove as well, then you are, let me just take this to the top, then you should be good to go and have nice straight miters, and that is part of what we're going to need. The next thing you're going to need is a piece of designer series paper of choice. Now I'm going to use this piece. That's the reverse. It was a hard decision, but I want to go tone on tone with this today. And this is 4.5 by 4.5. Same thing. Pop the corner of your paper in that groove and match up at the bottom the corner in the groove, just making sure that the top and the bottom both will be in the cutting groove, and just slide your paper trimmer. And I think that's all I need my paper trimmer for today. Okay, so now you've got 2 triangles, you've got 2 cardstocks. So the obvious thing is we're going to mat the cardstock onto, the designer series paper onto the cardstock. And I like to use my Tombow for this. I had card class this week and I haven't checked whether I need to fill up my glues. Do just make sure you get it into those corners because you don't want them sticking up. Okay, so we're going to line that up. And I'm going to bring my silicone sheet in for this because I can just see how I'm going to get glue on my grid mat and then glue myself down. Been doing all kinds of interesting things today, so that wouldn't surprise me if that's what happened. Okay, so let's pop that down. All right. This is actually a very easy card to whip up. I just want to get this glue off my fingers. Just give me a minute. Okay, so now the next step is we're going to bring back in that card front and we're going to glue those 2 triangles that we have just created. In case you're wondering where I'm getting my glue from, it's from the fat tip. A lot of my customers don't realize that our Tombow actually has 2 sides, the fat side and a thin side. Isn't that amazing? So just line this up as best you can, as accurately as you can, and then we're going to repeat on this side. What I like to do is I like to aim to have my corners coming in at the same, so I like them to be matching over there. Because we're working in very exact shape, it is more pleasing to the eye for it to look like that. Okay, and that's gorgeous. We've got the blue that's gravitating over there, so that's really super. The next stage we need to do is we need to take that other square of cardstock and that white cardstock and just mat them together. So just move that out the way. So now I went over the silicone mat onto the grid paper. Honestly. Okay. Because the stamping is actually not going to happen on this. We're going to add the stamping onto it. You can safely place this inside now rather than my preferred way of doing that stamping, doing the matting right at the end. So that's going to come in. Now what I like to do is, just because it's Tombow, just place it down and just bring the edge. Now this is just the perfectionist in me. You don't have to do that, but let me just bring this in so you can see what I'm talking about. When you bring your triangle to an angle, I like to just see if it's creating sort of the illusion of the line carrying on. And that's how I position this one. You can probably see it best on this card. Do you see here how this comes in and it just looks like it carries on there? That's what I mean. It's a bit harder to see with this one because I've used soft sea foam, but it is still giving that illusion, if you can see it. All right, so that's probably 80% of the assembly done. Now the next thing we need to do is I used my 2.5-inch punch for the next step, and you'll need some vellum. I'm going to do this design a little different to the original, so need that, set that aside. And then you're going to need, oh actually, what am I going to do next? I'm just thinking, do I do my inside? Yes, let's do the inside first. Sorry, I'm just going to set that to the side. You're going to need some scrap soft sea foam and some scrap white, and let's ink that sentiment. So I'm going to go with thank you. I need a few thank you cards, and I'm going to use soft sea foam. As I mentioned, I'm doing this very tone on tone. Okay, so just going to ink that up. Just popping that on there. Perfect. And you will need to use, I've used my layering circle die. It is a retired one, but you can use any other circles if you want. And you're going to pop the plain one over there, and you're going to pop the one that is just marginally bigger. See how they nest like that? And you will think that they don't work, but trust me, they do. So the plain one on there, then the little serrated one on there, and I've done that ahead of time just to save your time. And what you get is that and that going together. So let's just glue that, and then we can place that in position. So that goes in there, and because it's a circle, it doesn't really matter where you place it because you can just turn it. Oh, that gets dimensionals. Hold on, let's just take that off. Cool, but trigger happy with my glue today. So we're going to use some dimensionals. Cool, 3 should do it. And I'm just going to place, well, that's moved, so let's just move that back in place. Thank goodness for Tombow. Tombow gives you that little savings time of being able to move it. So I'm going to place this. You can decide how far up you want your easel to go, but I like my easel just there. So I'm just going to stop it just like that. And we will come back and add some bling when we have finished the next step. So the next step is to do some decorating. Now, back to my vellum. With this one, I had, I created a wreath, and I die cut using another die from the delicate, what's it called? Delicate Daisies, I think. I cut out this paper leaf design. So I want to replicate that sort of feel again with what I did last time. So I'm just bringing in my little mini cut and emboss machine, and and from the same paper suite, if you had a look at my unboxing video, and I'll pop a link at the top of this video, if you just look at the top right hand square, there'll be a little card, what is called a card, and I commented and said this paper makes me think of Paris. But I want to grab some of this green. I thought it's quite a handy little color, and there's some pops of yellow, but I don't think that's going to fit in that machine. So let me just get my paper snips. Oh guys, my craft room, oh my word, I've got so much stuff going on. I'm working with new products, I'm finishing up the last of my Christmas stuff. It's it looks terrible. I'm a bit of an A-type personality, so I like things in the order, I like things done properly, and this craft room of mine is everything that I'm not. It's quite funny actually, but I just close the door at night and I walk away. That's the only way I can deal with it. Okay, let's pop a comment below. Are you a messy or a tidy crafter? I mean, in the process you obviously can't be tidy, but what do you do between projects? Are you messy or are you tidy? Okay, see how that just created the most beautiful, pop that in the light, the most beautiful leaves. All right, so I'm going to see if we can just do another one, just do a shorter one, get rid of those. Oh, I don't want to damage my new die, so just make sure I got that one right. Right, let's go and see if I can get this through. I take this little one because it's easier to bring onto my desk, but I always struggle with it because of my back. Right. I don't know if I cut off enough. Oh yeah, I got some. Let's see how much I'd managed to clean. Oh, that'll do. That's all I needed. We'll see if I need some of this. It doesn't look like much. Okay, put that all away. So we've tidied that up. I'm not sure if we're going to use any of that, but I'm going to keep it and we're going to see whether or not we can use it or not. So normally I would sit down and do this, but of course I can't. So I want to create the same idea of having a vine. So I'm going to go and trim that off like that. And I'm going to come around like that with this one and just create that at an angle. And I think that's all I'm going to do for now. And I feel like I need to put this behind some black so that you can see what I'm doing. Let me just get a black piece of cardstock for you. Hold on. Is that better? Can you see that better? Okay. So I'm going to go like that. I'm going to take that to the angle, and I'm going to take that to the angle like that. Okay. And then I'm going to just demonstrate the how to stamp these images, because they are not difficult to stamp, but I just want to give you a few tips if you decide to buy this stamp set. So they are photopolymer stamp sets. So obviously with that you need a foam layer or something underneath it, just so that you've got some weight that you can, that it will help with the image stamping. I found, if it's a two-step stamp, so I found if I used this stamp first, it was easier, and I used it at full strength and just cleaned it, and then swapped and got the one that's going to be, just make sure I always just get these stamps on properly. Then using the fill in stamp, I actually found it better to stamp off. Now can you see there's like little grooves, and there's that little line. That little line matches with that line there. So if you come and place it just over that line, and I see I've got ink on my clear block, and just hold it down and then release, you will get a nice stamped image. I just want to clear, don't know how I got that ink on. All right, now the next little tip I want to give you is when it comes to the die cuts that match. So you need to find, there's a little ridge and a straight, let me just come up to the camera. There's a straight edge and then a round bit. Now I've marked mine with a permanent marker pen. That is this bit here of your stamped image. That's the top. So if you position that like that on your flower, sorry, I just need to move that slightly. If you position it like that on your flower, you will then have the correct die cut for your flowers. So I went ahead, just because it is a bit of a process to stamp them, die cut them, and I really didn't want to be here all afternoon doing that with you guys. I went ahead and I've stamped and die cut 3 of those in soft succulent and 3 of the little ones in pool party. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to arrange these. So I'm going to add one like that there. And I think I'll see how I feel about that, but that might actually just be all I do. I'm just possibly, there's another die here with a flower, but then that doesn't match. I'll see what I'm going to do. I'm going to glue this using my let's just have a look. I've got 3. I'm going to use this glue using my fine tip glue and pop this together. All right, so let's just move this to the side. I'm going to bring in my silicone mat while I get that, put that here, and we're going to start off with, I'm going to start off with my leaves. And it's really interesting because I actually need to figure out okay, so we'll pop that there. And I'm going to pop this one here. I'm going to put some dimensionals onto my flowers. And I'm just going to arrange them. I'm actually going to take this off now. I've just noticed there's been some glue transfer, and I hope that's when it dries it's not going to show being on the vellum. Like I say, everything today has just been crazy. I wonder why we have days like that, eh? Where you just seem to touch something and it goes wrong. Like now. Okay. Cool, I like that. And although this is what happened last time, my circle started to feel like it wasn't quite a circle, which is why I brought those daisies in. Okay, we'll make a plan. I've got one other one I can still die cut. You can see the back of that one is where I was experimenting and going, oh, that definitely didn't work. Got a love paper where you can just turn it over. And this one. Okay, so I just paused and went ahead a little bit just so that I didn't keep you guys watching indefinitely. So what I've done is I've just created, it actually looks like it's an oval, and I added that little bit of extra offcuts to the picture so that it could look beautiful like that. So now all I need to do now is add some bling, and I'm going to go with those gorgeous iridescents, and I'm just going to pop some. I might actually, no, that's going to be too big. Let's pop them in here and in here. Sorry, I haven't actually put that on yet. And let's pop one just there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some glue, some foam adhesives on the bottom only. The top is going to be suspended up in the air. So I'm just going, and I might just see if we can get away with that one. See, my phone has told me I've reached capacity and has started a new video, so I just hope to goodness this is recording. So what I do is I fold this in half so that there's, fold this in half, like, yeah, that it won't go over. And I then just place it like so in the middle. Okay, now I do see that is showing up a bit. So what we need to do is perhaps just add another flower there to where it is actually showing through. Okay, so what I've doctored it instead was I just removed those adhesives and I just added them under the flowers. So we've got that look going, and I just want to add that last big one. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put it over that mark of the adhesive, and we need a couple more there. So I'm just going to add one there and one there, and just like that, we're done. Sorry, I made it feel like it was a lot harder than it was. It wasn't. It's not hard. You just, probably the most difficult part, it's not really difficult, is actually just designing this bit here. So here we've got a tone on tone, here we've got a much brighter one, and then let me show you what the original looked like that we did for Christmas the other day in our card class. So that's what we did with the new expression, the new, well, I think this is, yeah, this is what we did with the new stamp set in our Christmas mini catty that's at the moment. So that's an old retired arranger wreath die. So that's me for today. My gosh, this has been a long video. I do apologize for that. Normally I try and keep them to 20 minutes, but my there was a lot to do, and even though I thought I had a lot prepared for you, there was still quite a bit to do in the moment. So there you go. I hope that's inspired you. I hope you're going to go and have heaps of fun, and let me know what you think of the new colors in the papers and the new stamp set. Okay, until we meet each other again, remember, stamp, eat, sleep, repeat.